Good afternoon. Welcome to Facebook Live and our twice weekly series, Eating the Elephant, where we talk about Hurricane Michael insurance information and recovery tips. We had skipped a couple of weeks and we were finally back at it again last week after a pause. And based on the traffic, it seems like that some of you guys have paid attention. It dropped off a good bit last week and then came back as soon as we kind of got back on the air. I've got several things to talk to you about this evening. The first question that I wanted to address, that I think we've addressed before, but it doesn't hurt to mention it again, is ordinance and law coverage. And particularly, I'd like to talk about how it applies if you do not build your home back. And consensus is, I even sort of reached out to the public adjuster and attorney community because I was given to understand they disagree with me on this, but apparently they do not. If you do not rebuild your house, ordinance and law coverage would not apply. In other words, if your home is completely destroyed, you decide simply to bulldoze it, sell the land, and move on to another location, ordinance and law coverage is not something that's incurred, and therefore it's not payable to you. If you are led to believe that, or you're given that advice, there's very specific case law that speaks to this point in Florida. If you're given information that comes from a different state, or given information from someone that cannot properly cite where that allowance is available to you, then you need to start asking some more questions. You might want to call our office and ask us about that, or call the CFO's office in Tallahassee at 1-800-22-STORM. If you don't incur the cost of additional ordinance and law, of improvements to your home that are subject to ordinance and law coverage, then you simply can't recover it. That said, let's say you have a $250,000 home that is completely destroyed. Even if you don't build back that house, you are entitled to collect that $250,000. And as a matter of fact, if your home is deemed a total loss, the loss assessment there and the claim situation gets very, very simple. The valued policy law in Florida, at least on homes, not on all structures, commercial structures can be handled very differently, but a residential structure or a commercial residential structure, or in other words, a condominium, if your house is gone, the insurance company in very short order needs to pay you the coverage A dwelling limit without any question. No deductions, they can't hold anything back for depreciation, nothing like that. They need to pay you the limit of insurance and let you move on. You would still be entitled to recover, of course, other coverages under your policy, such as additional living expense or contents coverage, and those could certainly they could be significant. With regard to the additional living expense, if you don't build your house back, does that automatically cut that coverage off? No, it does not. Additional living expense is payable to you until you either have fully recovered from the storm or until you should have fully recovered. In other words, if you have damage to your home and you sit there and just don't touch it for a year and don't make any effort whatsoever to find another place or to recover, the insurance company is not going to be obligated to pay you that coverage if you're not making an effort to find something else. However, since it is taking us a great deal longer to rebuild, and contractors are very stressed, getting a contractor to keep an appointment has been something of a challenge that we've heard about. It's going to be much, much longer than it would be if you were simply someone that had suffered a fire loss and you were the only person in town. So insurance companies shouldn't be giving you any grief if they're having to pay for you to live somewhere much longer than would be normal. So again, nothing after Michael's normal, so the insurance company shouldn't be surprised by experiences and expenses that are somewhat abnormal either. A question has been posed about whether people can sell their home either prior to it being rebuilt, or can they take insurance money and just leave? Frankly, you can take the money and run. If your insurance company pays you and you decide not to rebuild the house, that's entirely up to you. Now, if you have a mortgage on the property, that certainly complicates the situation, and you'll have to either settle up with your mortgage company and pay off that balance. And if you're not willing or able to do that with your insurance proceeds, then you will need to build back the house, because that is the collateral that secures your mortgage loan. And your lender is certainly entitled to have that loan secured. Generally speaking, if you're in a position, unless you're really upside down on your loan or underwater, as they say, on your loan, then it certainly shouldn't apply to you. And we have seen a number of people that are a little frustrated with the process, maybe discouraged, that have decided that they're going to do something different. They're going to buy a different home. They're going to leave town, whatever. But we've had a lot of people that have said, look, I'm just going to take my money. I'm going to pay off my lender. I'm going to take whatever cash is left in my pocket, and I'm going to move on and do something different. Perfectly acceptable, and your insurance company has no right whatsoever to your property. They can't take the deed to your to the land. They have no interest in that whatsoever. As long as you can take the insurance proceeds or whatever funds that you have available and pay off that note, they have nothing to say about your property and where that goes. We've had some people concerned that it's a little bit like a car. If somebody totals a vehicle and the insurance company pays them for it, the insurance company has the right to salvage. In other words, they have the right to that vehicle, and then they can sell it to a junkyard or whatever and recover whatever money that they can. House insurance, property insurance is nothing like that. There's so much value in the land itself, and that is something that the insurance company has no right to. And so the rules for homeowners and other property insurance losses are different. I wanted to speak very briefly to something. I set up a Facebook poll today, and I have to tell you the results were extremely discouraging to me. I was physically ill. I kind of got that feeling in my stomach that nobody likes to have. And I had posed a question about folks and their agent, whether they had approached their agent for help after the hurricane, and whether the insurance company or whether the insurance agent, that's guys like me, not the insurance company and their adjusters, whether we made the process better or worse, or didn't do anything, or maybe somebody didn't even bother to contact their agent. Because we found that probably, I think in the poll it was about a third of people didn't even bother to contact their agent. And I have to tell you, I was terribly, terribly embarrassed by the results. It's certainly not a scientific poll, but based on what I saw, only about 1 in 5 of you out there in the 850 contacted your agent and got help and got things moving forward better than they did without the agent involvement. That means 4 out of 5 agents either weren't contacted or simply aren't doing their job. And I have to tell you, I was very embarrassed by that, because I have always thought much more highly of my profession than that. And I think all of us in this end of the business, the insurance agents here, the folks that are local and on the ground, I think we need to do some soul searching. And for those of you out there that are my competitors, friendly competitors, most of us get along in town. And it's not really a dog-eat-dog world in my business. One of the things I like about Bay County is we have a friendly business atmosphere, and we can be friendly and collegial and professional and still compete with one another. And I want to say to those of you out there, we need to do better. We need to do a better job. And for those of you that I've advised to contact your agent and you've had a poor experience, or they did not help you as I said that they would, I apologize. I apologize on their behalf, and I apologize for giving you that advice if it did not bear fruit. I still think there's lots of other options for you that don't cost you money, don't cost you a percentage of your claim. We'll continue to talk about those as we move forward. But again, I wanted to offer the public a genuine, sincere apology on behalf of the insurance agents in this town that I think after this storm, we should have done a better job. Along those lines, if you feel like your insurance company did a good job and you were pleased with their results, I think they have earned your continued business. If they have put you back or are on the way to putting you back to where you should be after the storm, then I think you should stay with them. And if your insurance agent didn't respond to you, you shouldn't have to be penalized for that by moving to another insurance company. And there is a process, something we don't use all that often, and I find it a little bit distasteful, but you can submit what's called an agent of record to your insurance company. And what that means is, let's say you were my client and I ignored your phone calls after the hurricane, but you were with, say, Tower Hill as an example, and Tower Hill did a good job for you, and you were successful in navigating the claims process and getting your home fixed like you wanted to. If you were pleased with that, what you should do is you should probably go on the Tower Hill website, and they have an agent locator, or you can ask around. And I would encourage you to ask your friends and your neighbors and those of us, those people in town that know people, and find another agent that represents Tower Hill Insurance Company. And what you would do is approach that agent, and you would ask them, frankly, to be your new agent. And they would have you sign a little form that's known as an AOR, or Agent of Record Letter, and they would submit that to Tower Hill. And at renewal, the next time your policy renewed, I would be fired, and then your new agent, whoever you selected, would take over. And I would encourage you to use this process. Again, if you have had good luck with your insurance carrier, but us on the agency side, and I include myself in this, if you experience poor performance or non-performance, then you should fire your agent. By the same token, if you received poor service from your insurance company, there's 2 things you can do. Of course, you can call around everywhere and you can shop as you like, but you can also, if you have an independent agent that you do have some trust in, you can go back to them, explain you had a poor experience, and they can certainly place you with another agent too, if you feel like the agent is still someone that is worthy of your continued business and continued support. Along those lines is something of an extension of that. An awful lot of people have provided me very, very good feedback. Some of it's been very enlightening, some of it's been very painful to hear. Again, like I just said with agents in general. And what I would say is let's go beyond Facebook. Facebook is something of a transitory beast. If you post something on Facebook, it's there for a little while and then it gets pushed to the bottom of the feed and nobody sees it again. Engines like Yelp and Google, those are things that live forever and they have a much longer shelf life. And what I would say to you is whether it's your agent, your insurance company, your contractor, any provider of services for you after this storm is over with, it's good to provide feedback on Facebook because it's immediate and it's organic. But I would encourage you to take that extra step and go to either Google or Yelp or some other similar search engine and post a review there for whoever it is. And this is particularly true, I would say, certainly it will be true of us locals, but I think it's especially important for you to do this for out-of-town vendors. If you had a roofing contractor from Pensacola, if you had a tree service from Atlanta, if you had a public adjuster from West Palm Beach, and they performed either very well or they performed very poorly for you, put that on a venue that's going to be sticky. It will be there for a long time. And the next time we have a hurricane and it hits Jacksonville, for instance, the folks in Jacksonville can go to Google or can go to Yelp and can find that information, and you can help the next person be more successful than we have been able to be here. We want the people that face this. There will be some other community sometime soon. Unfortunately, it probably faces much what we're facing here. And let's do our part, not only to help Bay County recover, but to help the next community recover from a similar event. What I'm going to say in closing is, at our office, we're going to close down our public help desk, but that just means we're closing down the phone number. Really based on the feedback I've just gotten today from our Facebook poll, we're going to close down our help desk. And what I'm going to ask you instead, if you need some help for free, no solicitation, no questions, no contracts, no nothing, certainly we're never going to charge a fee, and I won't ask to write your insurance even. But if you need help, I would ask you to call my office at 769-4888, and my name is Trey. Ask for me personally. And if you will simply explain to me what's going on and explain what help you need, I'll do everything I can do to provide it. It may be late in the afternoon or it may be after hours when I do most of that, because we still have quite a bit going on with our own clients. We're still doing our best we can to help them. But again, when I say we're going to close our help desk, we're not going to close our help desk. We're going to move our help desk from the public help desk to Trey's desk is what we're going to do. So again, my number is 769-4888 if you'd like to give me a call, and I'd be happy to help you. And again, sort of going back to what we had at the beginning, for those of you that I gave the advice to speak to your local agent and you didn't get any help, I apologize, and I'm sorry if that didn't turn out to be solid advice. And I do hope that you'll take some of the rest of the advice we've been able to give, and I hope you found it helpful as well. If there's anything else that you need, I hope you'll certainly reach out to us. If there are any other topics that you would like to see covered on this Facebook Live series, I hope you'll reach out and let us know, either private message or you can post something on our Facebook page at hudinsurance.com. And other than that, we'll let you go. We'll be back at the same time as usual on Wednesday, hopefully with some new topics, and hopefully we'll be moving along. I certainly hope you're having a good start to 2019, having more success with your claim and your recovery efforts, and I wish you luck. Thank you.